What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks so much for joining me today. If you wouldn't mind, hit that subscribe button. There is a huge percentage of you guys who watch my videos who aren't subscribed yet, and I am putting out videos every 3 days for you guys, ranging everything from boot reviews to injury updates and everything through the surgery process, what it's like as a day in the life in the pro footballer, all of that stuff, training videos, fitness videos, etc. So please be sure to go and subscribe. In today's video, I'm going to be going over a little bit of an injury update, what it looks like moving forward now that I'm back in my home city of Seattle. I am so excited to be back with my family. My girlfriend is here, which is also super exciting, so that is all good things. And we're going to talk a little bit about the craziness of this Super League thing that happened recently. I want to dive a little bit into my thoughts on that one, and of course give you guys an idea of what the channel is going to look like moving forward in the next couple months with my surgery, rehab, recovery, all of that stuff. So without further ado, guys, let's hop into the video. All right, so we'll do a little bit of personal update first. So this Friday, this video will come out the day after my surgery appointment. Hopefully I will be able to get a vlog out about that entire day, what it's like, what my mentality's like going into doctor's appointments like that, especially when it's a situation where I know I'm gonna have surgery. All I'm basically getting is a CT on Friday, which is tomorrow. I'll get a CT scan. I'll talk to the doctor. The doctor will say, yep, we need to repair this, this, and this, and then that'll be it. We'll hop into surgery probably less than a week later, and I'll be on my way to recovery. I'm very excited. I've been doing tons of biking, tons of swimming, and just getting after it as far as fitness and lifting goes, particularly because I want to set myself up for success when I come back, make sure that my cardio, that I lose as little cardio as possible. Obviously, there's really nothing I can do about sitting on my ass for about 2.5, 3 weeks post-surgery. I'm not actually going to be able to move very much because my foot's going to be totally immobile and above my heart to get the blood circulation going and all that business. But the biggest thing for me to keep in mind is always a positive mindset. Work super hard up until that surgery, obviously not damaging my foot more, which is why I'm doing biking and swimming and lifting, at least the lifting things that I can do, which I've been showing you guys on the channel. And thanks so much again for all the support. It's been awesome, and I'm really, really excited for getting surgery and just to get it over with so that I can get back on the pitch. Moving forward as the channel, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a combination of vlogs and boot reviews and sort of updates about the injury, mindset videos, etc. Obviously, I'm gonna also try to get to a couple training sessions of friends of mine so I can film them playing and do some really cool B-roll and explain some of the session stuff, which will be awesome for you guys to sort of copy and paste those training sessions. So I'll get those as soon as we can. Obviously, COVID in Seattle in the United States is a little bit of a different situation than the situation that was in Australia. So I'm gonna have to be wearing a mask outside around other people. Obviously, when I am outdoors, I can pull it down a little bit so I can talk to the camera and talk to you guys and just make sure that you guys are getting all the information about each training session that I film, and that you guys can do that copy and paste, and I'll make sure to put everything in the description box as well. Additionally, there are a lot of really interesting things coming to the channel soon. I am working on the merch line. I'm getting some stuff. You guys have probably seen me wearing the shirts that are branded. I'm gonna be getting hopefully hats, water bottles, iPhone cases, and a couple other things that I'm really stoked about. So I'm working, that's all in the works. It should be ready in the next month or so. And that way you guys can go to my website, noahcavanaugh.com, and pick up some new merch stuff because I am really excited to share that stuff with you. So that is kind of it for personal updates. Again, thanks so much again for hearing all that stuff out. It's really important that I convey that information to you just so you guys know where the next steps are in the channel. We'll be continuing. I've got tons of boot reviews coming out in the next couple weeks, which I'm stoked about. Some boot reviews that are absolutely fire, which I'm stoked about. So that is it for the personal update. Okay, so now let's talk about the European Super League. So the way that this worked was there was supposed to be, I believe, 15 founding teams. There's no promotion relegation. It's just one European Super League. It's the big clubs from each of the kind of the major leagues outside of Germany and France, because they both decided to pull out. So it was going to be Spain, Italy, and England. You were going to have sort of the biggest clubs from all three of those countries come together, which is it was about 12 teams, and then there was going to be supposedly 3 more teams to be part of this inaugural season. And then on top of that, there were going to be 5 teams that you could qualify for the Super League every year. So my understanding is that there was a little bit of promotion relegation in and out of the Super League, but at the end of the day, it was sort of a mess of a situation. And essentially what would happen is, starting in August, you would have 10 group games. So you would have 10 home, 10 away, or I guess 5 home, 5 away, 10 group games, and then the best of the 2 groups would qualify for the quarterfinals and go from there. So theoretically speaking, it's a pretty straightforward setup. The European Super League was just meant to be sort of a way for the biggest clubs to compete at that level, and it was designed sort of to compete with the UEFA Champions League, the FIFA World Cup, etc., etc. So what are my thoughts? Well, first of all, from a financial perspective, it might actually be a great idea. I'm not one to focus on the financial aspect of soccer, but I do know from a business standpoint, when you look at the number of views from each of the games with the bigger clubs get more revenue from TV, from streaming services, from all that stuff. So if you look at the way that, say, a Manchester United versus Arsenal game happens versus an Aston Villa and a Swansea way back in the day, those two are very, very different caliber games, and there's obviously much less viewership for the second game simply because they're not considered the giants. What that doesn't take into account, though, is the fan bases and sort of the promotion relegation that I think is very, very healthy and important for football. So when you do have promotion relegation, what it allows for is teams to really have to fight for a spot in that top however many in the Premier League, as an example. And obviously, if you're in the bottom 3, you risk relegation. And so there's a motivation, and there's obviously a financial part of that as well, but there's a motivation from the fans, from the players, from the management, from the owners, all people inside of a club who's fighting for relegation, to stay in the Premier League for all sorts of reasons, including financial from the TV and everything else. The problem comes, though, when you don't consider the players, you don't consider the emotion of football, the passion of football. And I think that's where I strongly disagree with the formation of the Super League. As of now, it's been disbanded. Every Premier League team has pulled out. I believe the only 2 teams left were Real Madrid and Barcelona, and I believe Real Madrid's president was also going to be sort of the director of this European Super League, whatever you call it. So there's sort of a lot of politics going in behind, but there was a lot of coaches and players who spoke out against it. Gary Neville was kind of heading that whole situation, as you probably saw online. Guardiola said, it's not sport if it doesn't matter if you lose, and that sort of points to what I was talking about, right, in that you have to have promotion and relegation to create that healthy atmosphere. Jurgen Klopp said the most important part of football is the supporters and the team, and we have to make sure that really nothing gets between them. And this Super League absolutely would, because there's extra travel, there's all this other stuff, and it sort of trumps the domestic league and the Champions League. The other thing that I was thinking about too is, especially with this Super League, when we think about Champions League, I think about all the fun qualifying games that I don't really watch that often. Obviously, depending on your TV providers, when I do have a TV provider that does have Champions League, they're fantastic to watch. And what you can do is you watch the prelim games, and then the really big teams only play against each other at the very end of the season, i.e. right now in the quarterfinal, round of 16, quarterfinal, semifinal, final. And that makes it really special. I think the Super League would take away from that, because I think if you have a Liverpool and a Real Madrid playing each other twice a year, 3 times a year, every year, it would just get, it would bring in a lot of money, and I'm sure those teams would get a ton of new players who are all the best in the world, which They already are the best players in the world. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. To be fair though, the buy-in for a team to get into the Super League was going to pay them somewhere in the 350 to 500 million US dollars, which is just an abhorrent amount of money. So again, a lot of this decision to start to create, and again, point being, I disagree with the Super League, period, end of story. However, what I do think is really interesting is the way that they were thinking about it financially. So that's the only part that I kind of think about. I still don't agree with it, and I think it's an absolute disgrace to football, but at the end of the day, it is what it is, and thank God it's shut down. The last thing that I'll say about the Super League, the European Super League that would be formed, which thank God isn't again, is that it really kills some of the grassroots football programs. So a lot of the way that it's set up in Europe is you've got these wonderful academy programs that cater to the kids in that area. Obviously, if you're a Chelsea or an Arsenal or an Ajax or Barcelona, Madrid, whatever, you get players from all over the place and you get kind of the best players to play in your academy. But how it traditionally works is you've got a bunch of players from Chelsea or a bunch of players from Cardiff or a bunch of players from Leeds, a bunch of players from Liverpool or Everton or whatever, and they all play for their home town. What that European Super League does is basically it totally cuts out a lot of the appeal for the youth football and the success of those youth football programs. So I think it is something to understand and really make sure, and that I don't think they actually considered when looking at creating this Super League. At the end of the day, guys, it's really nice that the Super League is not going to happen. Those are sort of my thoughts. Quick analysis, obviously, because I don't really pay attention a whole lot to that other than to sort of have conversations with friends of mine. Put down in the comments section whether you think the Super League is a good idea or not, why you do, and then let's be super respectful to everybody who's in the comments section. So just because I don't think it's a good idea, that doesn't mean one of you can think it's a great idea. And let's have a conversation about it. I'd love to hear your opinion, love to hear your thoughts about it. Make sure you go and subscribe again. Like the video if you got value from it. Really looking forward to the next couple days because I'm getting my surgery very soon, which is exciting. I'll be back on the field as quickly as possible, and I'm really excited to show all of that rehab process for you guys. So as always, take care, be awesome, and I'll see you guys in the next video.